I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, I've always wanted to do a fake YouTuber apology video with a pet as well. Okay, so hi guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about the small PP killer build. I've been watching a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've been rewatching it, so in accordance with being completely in balance, I feel it is my duty to make a video about this build, as I made one about the small PP survivor build, and I think it is only fair that we talk about the killer version of it now as well. Um, as a side note, I saw some people get really offended by the fact that I said it's a small PP build. Um, here at Scott Jun Studios, we don't actually gauge the size of your penis based on the perks you use in a video game because I'm not fucking insane. So relax if you're actually offended by it. It's a silly joke title. Ironically, being that insecure, let's not go there. So let's actually talk about the build now. So I'm just going to get right into it. It is Rune, Undying, and Tinker. It's that combination. Just like DS Unbreakable was the combination for survivors, Rune, Undying, Tinkerer is the combination for killers. That is just like, ugh. But here's the thing. It's interesting because for survivors are all basically, the same. And you don't have any different powers with your survivors, right? But killers vary drastically in strength. So it's not quite fair to say that it's the same thing on everybody. Because, when you're on DS Unbreakable and any survivor, it's going to be the same amount of power every single time, no matter what. And if you run, this build on Legion or a Clown, it's not really as offensive as running it on, like, Nurse or Spirit or Blight. So I will have to add a caveat to this that the killer actually does matter in terms of how small the actual PP of the build is. So the bottom tier killers running this build, I don't think it's actually an issue. It can be annoying, but if I see a clown running Rune Undying, Tinker, or Pop, or something like that, I'm not gonna make fun of him because it's a fucking clown. He's got enough problems, man. He's just trying to make it in this harsh world. So that is not really a big deal. However, if I see you running this shit on Nurse or Spirit or Blight, that's when we have a problem, and I want to go over why. There's something that is common with all of these killers that I just said that makes the build ridiculously obnoxious, and it's that they all have immense movement ability. And normally that's, a very good thing to have. Like even Billy can do this, but it's a combination of their insane mobility and their ability to make value out of Rune and Tinker that makes it so ridiculously strong. So, for example, if you run this build on, Clown, you might see Tinker pop at the other side of the map and go, okay, well, that sucks. I'm about to lose that gen. You can't do anything about it. However, if you're playing Blight or Nurse with range or Spirit with movement speed add-ons, especially the Ring, you can see Tinker from anywhere on the map and get to that generator before it finishes. And when you do that, you'll chase people off the generator. And when you chase them off the generator, Rune will automatically regress that generator. And this is starting to be where a lot of the problem comes in. It's not even super closely a measure of strength. It is ridiculously strong, don't get me wrong. But the problem is a lot of people that do this perk combination, this playstyle, they have the tendency to drag games out way longer than they need to. Kind of like how Forever Freddy used to do it. Forever Freddy wasn't necessarily super overpowered or anything like that. They just made the game last so long. And when you have a killer like Blight, for example, when you see a Tinker go off, as Blight, you run to the actual generator and you stop them from finishing it, and then it regresses a bit. You hit one guy off of it, and chase the guy for a bit until you see another Tinker proc. Then you go to that one, you hit that guy off of it, it regresses a bit, and then you go back to the first one where another guy came back to it, and a Tinker procs, and then you go back to it and you chase them off, and then Rune regresses it a bit. It just makes these matches that just go on forever and ever because the killers, and I think this is one of the main reasons people hate it so much, the killers start to value controlling their generator over just chasing people. Which, don't get me wrong, while you have Rune up is a smart play, so you can't even give the killer shit for it, but God, can it be really frustrating to just always get a gen close to being finished, and then here comes the Blight with no Teridius, knocking you off of it, and you can't do anything about it. You can't just sit there and finish it, because then you die. If you run away, then Rune regresses it, and it's such a frustrating combo to go against. It got to the point where, like for the first couple of weeks that I was learning Blight, I ran Rune Undying Tinker. And, because I ran it for the same reason that everyone runs it. You think, man, Blight really can make use of all these perks super, super well. But it got to the point after a couple weeks, I was like, this is just, it got boring. It literally was so easy to the point that it got boring that I just stopped using it. I couldn't handle having that much free game delay that I actually just stopped using it. Now, expecting everyone to be all fucking full of themselves like me is ridiculous. Use whatever the hell you want. You bought the game. It's totally fine. Do whatever the hell you want. But I think you do have to acknowledge, especially like in solo queue, this build is so fucking obnoxious to go against. It is so annoying. And it really only is like that when you're playing one of the best killers. I'm telling you right now, if you're playing like Nurse with range, you don't need 4 slowdowns, man. You just don't. The only time I'd say it's fine if you're running that on like Nurse or Spirit or Blight is if you're learning the killer. Because, look, at the end of the day, if you use that build and you admit that you're not particularly good at whatever you're using and that's why you're using it, I don't think anyone's going to give you shit. If you're learning Nurse and you want the matches to go longer so you can get more blinks in and learn more, that's totally fine. I don't think anyone would get offended by that at all. However, if you start to claim that you're good at whatever you're playing and you're starting to run that build, I promise you, if you can't win without 4 slowdowns like that, you're just not a good at whatever that killer is. Now, some shitty killers can still lose with 4 slowdowns, but if you're losing a standard match with Blight with 4 slowdowns or with Nurse or with Spirit, you are just not good at that killer. That's the only possible solution, or you're going against a competitive team, which happens like almost never because they typically just play and kill your friends. That you're not even seeing them in regular lobbies. So that is the small killer PP build. It's super fucking obnoxious to go against. If you're doing it and you run it on strong killers, look, like I said, my whole philosophy at the end of the day is when you buy the game, you can do whatever the hell you want. You paid money for it. It is your choice to do whatever the hell you want. And that's just how it is. However, you're going to have to deal with people giving you shit because, man, this build is so fucking annoying to go against on killers that can actually stop the generator from finishing every time over and over. And the only counterpoint I see some people make is, well, you can actually still break Rune Undying. Yeah, but that's why people run Pop with it too. So then once your Rune Undying, your first 2 layers are broken, then you still have Tinker or Pop, which is still ridiculously strong. So no matter what, it is insanely good. And I'd say it only applies to the strongest killers in the game, whereas the small PP build for Survivor applies to every Survivor. But that is pretty much it. I wanted to make things fair and even and finally talk about the killer side of things. Because, if you're running this build, I don't think you realize how obnoxious it is to go against if you're playing one of the best killers. I'm not going to tell you to stop, but at least acknowledge that it's fucking miserable to go against. And that is about it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.